Hey, I just finished a recording with Sandra Tjoa, and she talks about ways to unstuck or get your energies unstuck so that way you can tap into your intuition and receive more of those hell yeah body responses when you know you're on the right track. And speaking of being on the right track, I'm here in San Antonio on the Riverwalk in the North Mission area. Well, welcome back to the Intuition series. And for today, of course, I have another amazing friend and guest, Sandra Tjoa, and she's here to share with us about how our energies can become stuck. And that really prevents us from accessing our intuition or that inner wisdom within ourselves. And a little bit about Sandra. She's a master guide for releasing stuck energy from prolonged stress. So, again, this is another reason why I wanted her here with us today. And for more than 20 years, Sandra has conducted classes and healing programs based on the ancient energy practices to bring our Qi, our life force energy, into flow and balance and harmony. And isn't that what we all want, right? To be in the flow, to feel more balanced and harmonized in life. I know that's what I want, right? So that's what I love about Sandra. And that also she's a strong advocate of the relationship of the microcosm to the macrocosm. Just think about this. I've shared numerous times about working from the inside out. And that's exactly what Sandra's approach is on a cellular level. As she says, everything we do to make one cell healthier benefits the whole body. In this same way, each of us is a cell of the body of the world. And I believe everything we do to take care of ourselves makes the world a healthier place to be. Ah, so good, right? And her mission is to change one cell at a time, one life at a time. Oh, this is going to be an amazing conversation. So, welcome, Sandra. Thank you for being with us here today.
Hi, April. Thank you for asking me to join you.
Yeah, and we met through an online program. And really, I think we've been kind of evolving together through this, which has really helped our own intuition, right? Working with the different dynamics of, connecting with others, understanding more about ourselves in the process. And I so love, your posts on YouTube and things about the energy because everybody here knows that have been following me. I am really about that energy and how our bodies respond to it. So that's why you're a perfect guest for this series for intuition. Yeah.
Yeah, that just happened to be, I think you saw a practice video that I did, and that was the exact topic. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And here's my intuition, right? I was just looking through things and everybody, I hope you're hearing this. That's how intuition works. You're not, you know, slamming your head against the wall trying to make something happen. It's something so subtle that when you're not thinking about it, you get a little hit. Like you see something online, or you see a bumper sticker on a car, or a song comes on the radio and it just kind of clicks, something clicks. So that's exactly what happened with Sandra's post. Yes. So before we get into the intuition part, can you share a little bit about your story and how you became of service?
Sure. It was funny when I received your outline and I read that about how did I come to be of service with the work that I do now. And for me, it actually was um, a desperate grab at trying to stay healthy. So it was more a selfish thing, a self-preservation, than it was to be of service, to be completely honest, to start with. When I started studying with the master that I was with, we were living in Asia at the time. And I had actually gone through a stint of 3 years of depression, sleeplessness, really low energy. I just was basically, a version of rock bottom. I
Mm.
was operating through my days. Our kids were toddlers, and I was putting everything into, making their day fun and enjoyable through the day. And I was exhausted. I had nothing left to give. Um, and the depression, it was filled with guilt and shame. I was actually going through a period of blaming myself for the death of our family friend's toddler. He drowned at the house that we were living in at the time. And so the years to follow were just filled with isolation, loneliness, depression, really, really deep. And so I had gone through, after almost 3 years of that heavy state of darkness, um, I started going through Reiki treatments. I did Reiki level 1 and 2 and started doing treatments on my own for other people as well. I did rolfing, vibrational medicine. And it wasn't till we had, moved to another country that I came across this master to study with. And I had always had a previous interest in Tai Chi. Things just never quite worked out for me to start. And so when I did start with this master, that's what it was about for me, was for me to get back to health. I wanted something that was self-reliant so that I didn't necessarily have to search out other people for treatments, because the nature of our life at the time was we were moving a lot. And so I wanted something that I could take with me everywhere that I went, was self-strengthening, self-empowering, and self-reliant, that I didn't have to make appointments and then go see other practitioners all the time. So that's what I was really looking for. And I got that with my training. We started with Qigong first because my energies were so depleted. The master felt that that would be most suitable for me. And then when we were starting to part ways because I was moving to yet another country, he just said to me, "Have you ever thought of teaching?" And I said, and it was not on my radar at all. And he said, "You have to teach, because if you don't, your practice is going to fade." And at that point in my life, April, there was no way that I was going to let that go. I couldn't. I wanted to be functional for my family. I wanted to feel human. I wanted, my inner light to at least give me enough energy to feel whole, to feel, human. And so that's why I actually started teaching.
Yeah, and I love that you were selfish, that you said, there's no way I'm going to let this go, right? You saw the benefits. Obviously, you felt better by that time when you were to leave. Is that what you're saying? You were on a healing journey and you felt a lot better by that time, that to where you could teach?
Oh, wow, April. I'll tell you, uh, I trained about 2 to 3 hours a week with him to start. And within 2 weeks, I felt a difference, and everyone around me noticed the difference. The light in my face just changed, my stance, the way I carried myself, my energy. When I was dropping the kids off at their little kindergarten, parents were saying, "Wow, like, what have you been doing?" Because, there'd been just such a shift. So it was pretty immediate. It didn't take the whole training time that I was with them to start feeling that difference.
Hmm, that's so good. And then because people saw you, right, saw the difference, felt it, right, because you're radiating that energy, then of course people want to know what you've done differently. And I'm sure you were able to work with students or, give some offerings. for others, right?
Yeah, that's true. Now that you're saying that, I wouldn't have thought of it. Yeah, we actually got a whole group started from that. That was from, the parent group of that little kindergarten that the kids were at the time. So that's how the master I was with got me started in, getting the feel for getting a group together and the whole approach to teach people, especially who had never done either of the arts before.
Oh, that's great. That and that's the perfect story, right? We don't even when we sign up for something, we're looking for ourselves first and foremost. And then when we start to heal ourselves and start to feel better, and then, we're the ripple effect, that energy. I talk about this numerous times, my podcast, that, our energy, our thoughts, our emotions, everything's contagious. And so by you just showing up as you, and being in that environment, then that helped to heal others as well. And that's just all you starting out being selfish and following your intuition. That's great.
Well,
Yeah,
what
so,
you just there, yeah, go ahead.
oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say what you just shared made me think of an email I just literally sent out, just in the last few days. And I talked about how the frequency of energies bring us in tune with other things, right? So when you talk about the ripple effect and how our energies affect others, that like when instruments tune in an orchestra, and they always have the lead violin, or if they're fortunate enough to have an oboe player, play that A note. All the other instruments in the orchestra tune to that A, and they can feel when that frequency comes in.
Mhm.
And so, like you said, when we're radiating a certain energy, that other people can tune into that if they're ready, right? If they're there and they're open to that. And so anything else at that same energy is attracted to you.
Oh, yes, 100%. And um, I think that's okay if other people aren't too. Because, by us following our own intuition and seeing the results without expectations, I think that's the challenge. Not letting the mind get in the way of having those expectations about it, but really tuning into our intuition and feeling that inspiration that it brings too. And then that creates that motivation of the energy and the connection with others. And that's how we literally heal ourselves, as you perfectly said, and help support others too. Yeah. So, Sandra, what about people who are experiencing that dysfunction right now? Maybe they're feeling really low, or they just feel like they're on the hamster wheel and it's never ending. What kind of supports or um, tips do you have to give to offer for them to bring themselves back to them and witness that part of themselves?
Hmm. I think for a lot of people, and by no um, fault of anyone, like it's actually part of being human that we tend to think a lot. The mind takes over. You talked about that, how the mind can just keep churning. And that mind, though, feeding those thoughts really takes a lot of your energy. It really, um, in the practice, I talk about how the battery of our body, the reservoir of our inner energy, is right here in the abdomen area, the abdominal region. And when we think a lot, we draw and suck all that energy up into the head to feed
Mm.
that thinking, to feed all that chaos. And what happens when we have so much energy up here is we sever that mind body connection. That's so key for us to be able to tap into our intuition. And so when all that energy is drained from the battery here, the reservoir here, and sucked up into here, and the energy is just whirling around up here, feeding that mental busyness, that chaos up here, then in severing that mind-body connection, we're really coming away from that intuition, because that wisdom, which is the video that you saw that brought me here,
Uh-huh.
that wisdom and intuition reside right here. Our intuition is like at the top of the abdomen, and just above that, in the little V of the rib cage, is where our wisdom is. And so when we drain this area of energy, feeding the chaos up here, disconnect the mind from the body, we're also disconnecting ourselves from that intuition, from that wisdom.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
So in order to come away a little bit from the head, I suggest, find something that helps you ground. For me, as you know, I'm the Tai Chi Qigong girl. So, that's my way of doing it. But spending 10 minutes a day with your bare feet in the grass, or remembering when you're sitting or standing once in a while, just to remember to feel the ground beneath your feet. And that can help move the energy from the head back down. Any modalities, breathing exercises that will relax the body, so that you want to find something that can help transform the chaos energy up here and settle it back down into the body. So things like abdominal breathing will bring the attention, right, back to the abdomen, even touching or tapping in this area, just to bring awareness back to where the energies of your wisdom and your intuition reside in your physical body.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. I've been trained with biodynamic breath work, and it talks a lot about somatic experiences, being in the body, and you just saying, just gently tapping around the rib cage, around like where our belt would be, right? Um, Around the body that way in our trunk space, um, and breathing deeply into those spaces. That helps to also bring us into our bodies, because, as you so perfectly said, we're detached. We're so up in our heads, and we're dragging our bodies around. Literally, our bodies can't keep up with all the chaos and all the thoughts. And I got to go here, or I'm driving wherever, but still the thoughts are elsewhere. So that really splits our energy too. Yeah.
Oh, so funny, because I always bring this in classes. When we're busy in the head, people don't realize, but when you start looking for it, you can physically see it in people's bodies. And the head and the mind will lead the body, almost expecting the body to hurl itself through space and catch up with what's going on up here. So it just is a great example of how the mind and the body can become so disconnected. And even in that, the physical alignment of the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're so busy here, the head will actually carry forward. Now we're out of alignment in the physical body through the spine, through the spinal cord, right? And then that throws all the joints out of alignment. And then when all the joints in the body, the bones, the muscles are out of alignment, we can't ground as properly. And it's the grounding that helps keep the balance of the energy between the mind, body, and the soul.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it definitely is. And we all are living more of a sedentary life now. And it's part of my work is being in front of a computer. And I have to literally, I roll my shoulders back, and I take a deep breath, and I really focus on my sit bones sitting in the chair. And then just as you described, realigning my spine. So that way I'm not hunched forward. Shoulders tend to roll forward. You can't breathe, right? That constricts the rib cage, and we're not getting the full effect of the breath. And that automatically also puts us in the sympathetic nervous system, without even realizing it. We're right in there, and then we get an email, and then we're, then the mind, will keep going. So it's, again, as you said, Sandra, it's nobody's fault. It's just being aware, just bringing that awareness of, where am I right now? How am I feeling? How can I just adjust just a little bit to where I feel a little bit more settled, a little bit more grounded? Yeah. Yeah. And so, as we're talking about intuition in this series, then how can this, you talked about in that little short video about, um, allowing that energy to flow through the body, right? If it becomes kind of disrupted in the body or stuck, um, moving the body and being able to be more present and feel that more of a flow happening there. Can you possibly walk us through just a quick practice so people can have that experience, if it's possible in a seated position, something
Sure.
easy? And then those of you who are listening while you're driving or, at work or something, please come back to this and listen again. So that way, and watch on YouTube, so that way you can see Sandra in motion. See the energy moving with Sandra.
So, like April brought in, one of the things, especially while you're sitting, is to feel those bum bones relaxing into the surface that you're sitting on. If you're standing, you're feeling the ground beneath your feet. If you're sitting, you're feeling the surface that you're in connection with. You can do this from lying down. If you're lying down, you're feeling into all the parts of your body that are in contact with the surface that you're on, because whatever you're in connection with becomes an extension of you. And so you can just relax into that to ground. So feeling, if you're sitting, into your bum bones, you can put your feet flat on the floor if you like. And I'm going to take you through 2 breaths, just nice and easy. One's chest breath. So you're going to draw a nice breath in through the nose. And as you do, just imagine that you're elongating and extending all through the spine. And then you're going to relax the jaw and the mouth open so that your exhalation can just flow right out of you with an open mouth. Not forcing the breath, not necessarily making a sound, but just letting the exhalations to flow with ease out of the body. The next breath we talk about, I call the neck and the shoulder breath, and we'll draw a breath in through the nose. We're going to hold the tongue close to the roof of the mouth. So if you can hiss like a snake, make that hiss sound, then that lets you know that the tongue is in place. And we're going to let that exhalation flow out of that space between the top of the tongue and the roof of the mouth. So that top part of the mouth, so breath in through the nose, tongue in place. And as you exhale, just feel the air leave. You'll feel it tickle the tip of your tongue, perhaps. Again, you may not hear a sound or feel it, but just allow the breath to flow out. Then once you use those 2 breaths a few times, and there's no set formula, of course, April, as long as you feel that there's some type of holding or tension that can leave with the breath, just allow your body to repeat it as many times as it needs to. And then you can bring in a fantastic move called pulling down the heavens. And we let the shoulders relax. And as you inhale, I have arms to this chair, so it's a little awkward. But as you inhale, you're just going to let your arms float up, relaxing through the shoulders. And at the elbows, you release and you'll form what's called the mountain. Your palms will face the ground. And then as you exhale, Just allow the palms to move energy down from the head all the way back down through the body. So we'll just do that once more. Shoulders relax. Breathing in, the arms will float up. Inhale, fill those lungs, forming your mountain. And exhale. And just allow the energy to move from the head right back down into the body.
Oh, that was beautiful, Sandra. I felt the warmth in my head, and it was like just a really soft, subtle, just kind of trickle down into my being. That's not the
Mhm.
only way I can explain it.
Yeah, because, well, you know that I know it's Einstein, another person said, Newton said it too, but energy can't be created nor destroyed. So really, when we have that chaotic energy going up here, it's just a mismanaged form of energy. Stress, right? The worrying, the overwhelm, it's just a mismanaged form of energy. And so if you can change, as you suggest, the state of your nervous system, bring in the breath, bring in a practice that helps ground you, that pulling down the heavens helps transform that energy into a more useful type of energy, leading it back down to the body where the wisdom, your intuition reside. Fill that reservoir with more useful energy rather than having it be wasted all up here.
And that's exactly what happens. As you were explaining that earlier, Sandra, I was feeling like it's like a vacuum. It just like sucks the energy out. It's like a black hole of energy. And also, when we're around electronic devices, I believe we really need to be mindful of that. And I'm just going to say it, limit our screen time or take breaks, intentional breaks. If you cannot, if you're working and you have to be in front of the screen, get up, leave that cubicle, leave your office, leave that space, take that 10-minute break. It's only 10 minutes. That's not going to give you more on that project or whatever you have to do with that email. It's going to really fill your energy up and bring that balance back so we can have more clarity and connect to our inner wisdom and that intuition. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I suggest to all my students, everyone who's in programs with me, if they spend most of their day sitting down or in front of a screen, even 1 minute an hour, right? If you've got a phone by you and you can set that hourly ding ding, whatever it does, and 1 minute every hour, just feel the ground, move a few breaths, take a stroll away from your desk or wherever it is you're seated, even just for a minute. That's going to help move some of that energy rather than have it all collect and become more stuck, more stagnant. You want to open up those energy pathways through the body because even though it's energy, and this is what traditional Chinese medicine is based on for, a few thousand years now, the whole system is based on energy meridians and channels that are actually pathways in your physical body. That energy actually travels. So by moving your body, you don't have to have a deep spiritual practice of any type or a deep meditative practice where you connect to different energies at different realms and that, your physical body just by moving, by extending, just allowing a little more alignment, a little bit more grounding, a little bit more breath that brings in relaxation, you can open up those pathways and let your energy flow more just by
Mhm.
doing simple things, a minute every hour.
Yeah, it really is like a drop in the bucket, right? Just refilling us little at a time. even though we do have to do those things, really practicing self-care and putting ourselves first, being selfish again,
Well,
because
you
no
know
one's
that
going to give it
saying,
to us. No
no
one's going to
one,
give it to us.
no one. You know that saying, being selfish with self-care is actually the most unselfish thing that you can do. You're not looking to others to be there for you. You're not looking externally for a solution to be provided to you by someone else. You are, I don't want to say depending, but you are tapping into your own power.
Mm,
That's the way to say
hmm
it. You're tapping into your own power, your own capability, your own potential, you're you. You're tapping into you. And that's all you need. We all have everything that we need.
Oh, that was perfect, Sandra. Yeah, it's really building that relationship to ourselves, and that is so empowering because no one can take this from us. It's ours, and it's how we show up for ourselves every day that matters.
Yeah. It's leaving that time to take care of yourself.
Mm,
It's really important. That
yeah,
example of putting your oxygen, if you're flying, putting your oxygen mask on before you help someone else, you pass out, you can't be of any good to anyone,
mm,
right? You put on your mask and then you can help everyone else around.
exactly.
Hmm.
Oh, that's great. Good stuff, Sandra. Uh, and from my understanding, you also offer resources too, to help people with their flow of energy and connecting back to themselves. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, if you just want to tune in for little tips here and there, I do have a YouTube channel with a series of videos called Your Chi Health Minute. And that's what we were talking about, just even that 1 minute a day, if you start bringing something in. And then if you extend that to maybe 1 minute 3 times a day, 2 times a day, and just see how you feel. There's different very simple, easy moves that I explain in 2 3 minute videos. You can bring them into your day, do them while you're boiling the kettle, feel the ground beneath your feet while you're brushing your teeth. There's lots of little pockets in the day where you can bring awareness in that will help nurture that mind body connection, move that chaotic energy from up here back into the body. Aside from that, um, anyone can check out on my website. I have video sets of classes. I have weekly classes, and I have small group healing programs and private exclusive intensives for anyone who wants that deeper attention and bringing the energy and opening up the body to deeper healing, really, from prolonged stress, having that busy mind that is a very stressful state for the body and is energy depleting, as we talked about. And so to open up those pathways to just bring everything back into balance and open up that flow, is what I'm all about.
Yeah. And then that'll help us, have more clear, the mind will be clear to make better decisions, right? And you said in that little video too, not second guess the choices that we made, because when we are in that present state and in the flow, then we just know. As I say, trust and know, and it shall be so. So, when we're working in that authentic, that true form of self, then there's no questioning what decisions we've made or choices, and we can trust in ourselves and in the process a lot easier.
Hmm. Well, just like you said, I watched Dr. Shaw's episode with you about if it's unkind, that's
To
coming
your
from the
mind.
or something like
Yes.
that, right? because your intuition and your wisdom don't include doubt or fear or that second guessing yourself. Your wisdom and your intuition are all about, well, like people will say, if it's got to be a hell yes. Your wisdom
Your
and your
whole
intuition
body.
are like that whole, yeah, we're doing this. Like, yes. If there's the doubt and you're second guessing and you're thinking, that's the mind.
Mhm.
That's not coming from your wisdom. That's not coming from your intuition.
Yeah, and we want to be in that harmony and that balance and that flow, so that way we can live life, with more joy and vitality. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sandra, for being here. And for those that were listening through the podcast, can you say your website, what it is? I'll have it in the description, but in case they're listening, what?
Sure. Yep. So I can be reached at Qi-Taichi.ca. So that's QI-TAICHI.ca. My email's there. You can also find me on Facebook, which is Qi-Taichi is the handle. Instagram is Qi-Taichi.ca. And if you're looking for my YouTube channel, it's similar to the website, Qi hyphen Tai Chi .ca. Yeah.
Great. Perfect. And those of you who are listening and watching now, please leave a comment for Sandra. Let her know what you enjoyed about this conversation today. Or if you have any questions for her, please reach out on her website. Take a peek at those amazing resources that she has as well. And if you've enjoyed this intuition series, please hit like and subscribe so that way you'll be notified of more amazing guests and other insights to your wellness in the future. So until next time, my friends, be well.